Welcome to iFast Track 101. My name is Kevin Ahern. I am delighted that you've taken the time to take a look at this particular video entitled Closing Power. You may recall, if you were with me back in session number 1, I mentioned that production itself is driven by three things. Number 1, knowledge. Number 2, the development of a set of skills. And thirdly, by development and maintenance of the proper attitude. When it comes to the skills, I outlined for you a certain set of skills that I felt that you needed to develop to have your opportunity to be consistently successful. One of those skills was your ability to stay in control of relationships. We sort of rounded that off and we called that skill assertiveness. Number 2, I talked at length about the need for upgraded communication skills with an emphasis on becoming a great questioner and even a better listener. And then I mentioned to you also your ability to negotiate. That skill is going to become vital. I cannot think of a time when I'm trying to present an offer that I did not need going into and coming out of that, the need to negotiate. And then I mentioned the ability or the skill to close the deal. And oftentimes when we use that expression, we think to close the deal, to get an offer, to get a counter offer, to get the seller to sign the marketing agreement. But the reality is the ability sometimes to close to get the appointment. This particular session is devoted to an understanding of what closing is, some of the difficulties that most salespeople find in closing, also defining for us the difference between a trial close and a final close, but also sharing with you some facts about the close that really are sort of like eye-openers for us. So let's start off with a proper definition, actually two definitions of what the close is or what it should be. The close, first and foremost, to me, is the natural conclusion to the sales process. That very simplistic definition says that if you do everything prior to the opportunity to close in sequence and correctly, your ability to close is like butter on toast. It should be very, very natural. It should not be something that you view as separate, disconnected, and disjointed from everything else that you do as a salesperson. I like the second definition of the close even better because it defines really what our role is when it comes to closing. And it is this: the close is facilitating a decision that, left unto the prospect, seller or buyer, it's either not going to be made or it's not going to be made in a timely manner. So if you look at the operative word that you just filled in, the word facilitating, that really does define our role as a facilitator. We cannot be a bystander. We cannot be a tour guide. For instance, on the selling side of the equation, when we're working with buyers and we're showing property and we see all the signs pointed that this is the property that they've been looking for, you can't stand idly by and expect them to sort of pull up the slack and close themselves out. We have got to facilitate it in almost every case, because if left unto them, it's either not going to take place or certainly not going to happen in a timely manner. So with that understanding, let's proceed and let's discuss honestly, why is it difficult for most salespeople, I say most salespeople, to close the sale? Right? Now, this is not unique to real estate. This is across the board, whether they're selling automobiles or they're selling computers or they're selling widgets. Why is it difficult for most salespeople to close the sale? First and foremost, I'm going to be honest with you, a lot of salespeople don't know how. Too much of sales training is on understanding your product or service, how to present it, how to position it, how to differentiate it, and too little of sales training deals with how to go about closing the sale. I think really maybe the mindset of we trainers is that if you do a really excellent job of understanding the client or the customer's needs, and you know your service and you make that match, that you've done your job. It's up to them now. Do they want what you've got or not? See, I am highly empathetic, therefore, when I coach people like yourselves, and they say, Kevin, I am just not comfortable closing. I just don't know how to go about it. I don't think it's something innate and natural, although when I say that, I sort of catch myself and I think of my grandkids, all right? I think some of the best closers in the world are young children. And unfortunately, okay, maybe as adults and being parents and grandparents, we sort of train them out of that, which is unfortunate. What I'm getting at, one highlight of closing that's really important is persistence. And I'll tell you, young kids are really, really persistent. If you've got kids or you're a grandparent like myself, you know what I'm talking about. But look, let's get back to, if you don't know how, I'm on your side. As your coach, it's then my job to show you, okay, how to go about closing. Again, let's go back. Why is it difficult, secondly, for salespeople to close the sale? Because they don't understand that closing is a process. Folks, it's always a process. Sometimes it happens very smoothly and very quickly. Other times it takes a longer period of time, and it's a little bit, bumpy, if you will. But it's not a separate, isolated event. It is the natural conclusion to the sales process. Once again, if everything prior to your opportunity to close has been done correctly, closing is nothing mystical or magical. Another reason why it's difficult for most salespeople to close the sale is out of fear. And by the way, fear comes in a lot of shapes and sizes. It could be fear of rejection and fear of failure. I think when we talk fear honestly with one another, and I say, what are you fearful of? I don't think any of us like to be rejected. And when it comes to fear of failure, okay, none of us like to fail. But, the fear of rejection, let me take that one first. The fear of rejection, it's when you and I take the rejection personally that it really stings and it really hurts, and it may cripple us a little bit. See, you go knock on the door of a for sale by owner. They don't know you from Adam or Eve, and they reject your overture to help them with, assist them, if you will, in the marketing and sale of your property. They say, no thanks, I don't need you. I'm committed to do this myself. So they reject that overture. When you take that personally, okay, that can be crippling, at least for the short term. The fear of failure. Here's my take on this, and I sort of talked about this in previous sessions. I honestly don't think that you and I, at the end of the journey, will know that we've been successful without, during the journey, passing through the portal of failure. You see, in life, it's not so much what happens to us, it's how we respond and react to what happens to us. If I fail at something, and I have failed a lot at a lot of things in my lifetime, but I've sort of disciplined myself to learn from each failure. Pick myself up off the floor, learn from that mistake, if that's what it is, or that failure, and then apply it the next time around and do a better job of it. The fear of success and the fear of the unknown, probably that's a little alien to all of you. You're probably sitting there with a little bit of an attitude saying, hey, bald-headed guy with the beard, I don't ever really fear success. And again, I want to thank you at this point for taking the time to view this particular session. And like I said, I hope to see you in the one coming up. Thank you.